Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we are talking with Sean Sauer in conjunction with his Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through February 11th. Hi, Sean.
Hi, how you doing?
Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to spotlight Tina's video. So tell us a bit about yourself and the show.
Well, I am a painter, and the work that you're seeing in the exhibition is a couple of different series of oil paintings. Um, and I think the work that we're looking at here at the beginning on that sort of exterior wall as you go into the gallery space are a series of landscape paintings. Some of them they're all done on site, done on location, and some of them are done here in Philadelphia, painting in Fairmount Park. I've been teaching landscape painting classes, and this is one from the fall. So some of them are paintings that I've done while teaching, while others are just going out on my own and working on these paintings. Excuse me. These are all pretty quick paintings, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours most. This is a painting of Cape May. As I sort of continue to work on a series of paintings from different locations in New Jersey along the ocean. And once again, just sort of, painting things that catch my eye. And these are on I think either on paper, oil painting paper, or primed linen that I then cut and mount on panel.
So how come you do it that way and not like on the panel directly outside?
Yeah, I think it certainly makes it more convenient. Like I can carry several of these boards that I put the canvas on kind of all at once and slide them down into a paint box. And I'm able to just kind of move around and do paintings a little bit more quickly. They're not as heavy, they're lighter.
Right.
So it's just a matter of convenience. I think I do also like the idea that it's like a sketch, and then it becomes more permanent as something that I decide I like, and then mounting it. Some of these are painted then additionally back in the studio as well. So I think it's looking at it again and then maybe responding to it. Um, you know, Sometimes right after, or other times maybe a week or 2 weeks later. And these are once again, along the ocean. This is painting where it's like seeing the moon in, that light, that sort of backdrop as the sun's going down behind you, is really kind of interesting to me. So a lot of these are these lighting situations, like trying to paint something that is just really dim light, or this one here with that where you're looking at that crashing wave. Seeing if I could make that painting work in the dark. And then the rest of these paintings are um, similar subject matter to what I had in the last show, but just kind of taking it a bit of a step further, in the sense that there's a lot of paintings that are done in a local greenhouse. The reflections, paintings of reflections on glass. As I kind of walk around, and in a previous show, I was doing larger paintings of the whole space, and then saw they almost look like they're little paintings, in little spaces like microcosms. And I thought, wow, that would be really cool to make just like a whole painting about that, which led to this whole series. And I think in these, letting them become, more abstract, and not spending too much time on them. I mean, once again, almost like the on-site landscape paintings, these are very much just about kind of a fleeting moment, like that light on the glass. It changes pretty quickly. And then looking at this and saying, hey, maybe this could be a painting. And then doing a whole bunch of these, and trying to push them sort of further away from each other. There are a couple of them as you're looking through the show that are connected together, like where one paint, it's like walking around the space and seeing different images and then trying to paint them. But some of them are connected together where it's going back and looking at a space again and kind of changing the angle. Or there's a painting of a Wawa bag, which is like I went back and painted that again, kind of painting a painting from a recent a show, and then doing another one, so they kind of talk to each other, I think, on a certain level, and one inspires another. So
So you've been in that space for a few years now, right? The
yeah,
great.
they've been very gracious in letting me come back many times.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, and as I said, like and I think it's, when you're painting in a place where there's, other people coming and going, it's trying to be like negotiate that. Like, how can I, what can I paint? What can I get into? And then how long can I stay there? And, some things don't work out. I mean, or I come back and it's completely different. And that can be frustrating, but I like that kind of interaction. Like I like um, the sort of impermanence, like that becomes a part of the work, I think. So
So do you work, I mean, sometimes you take them back to studio to.
yeah. Yeah, and as I was saying, like um, I think that's happening more with some of these, like, you know, painting away from the thing, like thinking about it. I mean, spending time with it. And I feel like too, like getting to know it enough to feel like that I have some kind of understanding of it, right? Like working on it and working on it. And then, well, what is it that I think about with this thing? What do you dream about when you're thinking about the space? And that enters into the work, I think, to a certain degree as well.
So do you make drawings or do you ever take photographs of the motif?
I've done, yeah, I mean, I have a whole series of drawings as well, but they're not like some of the drawings, they're not exactly like they're studies for the paintings. They are, some of them are, but some of them are like, I think they're on the same level of the paintings, or I spend even more time on them, like they go in a different direction and become a bit more complex. So I have a lot of these drawings sitting around, and I was thinking, oh, it'd be fun to have like a show just sort of looking at all those things together. But yeah, so this is, and then some of these are like, some of them are reflections, some of them are just like looking into these different places. Like this is the inside of a blue, like one of those blue big storage Tupperware containers with a bunch of plastic bags, and then like COVID masks, like surgery masks thrown down into the bottom of this thing. And I thought, wow, like it's such a beautiful thing. The materials are kind of ugly, but together they make in this beautiful plastic blue space. They're really wonderful.
Well, it's almost completely abstract because
Yeah, and yeah, sorry, and I think it's like, I think becoming with some of these things, just letting it be, kind of what it feels like, as much like this is this foil that is on rolls and then sort of pressed up against the glass, and then organizing it in a way where it has this sort of tiers to it. And once again, just, like how much do I need? How much information is really necessary? And in some areas, like really bringing that forward, and then in other areas, just like letting it go, and sort of having fun with that.
I mean, have you had any impulse to work completely abstractly, or would you always want it to bounce off of the observable world?
I feel I used to work many years ago. I worked abstractly, and then kind of worked my way into being more of a representational painter. I feel like there at this point, I really enjoy the experience of going and spending time in the space. So I feel like that's a great question, and I think even as these become more abstract, I think it's still a play on a certain level of like, being in that place, and it being about seeing and feeling the light, like the one with the hand, like, being in this sort of darkness and then, putting my hands into that space of light. I think the more that I've sort of become a part of the thing, like the more I'm willing to let go of what it looks like. And so there is, it's a it's a play, I think, between representation and abstraction I'm really enjoying. And I think finding things that look abstract and then painting them. Um, it's almost like that's unbelievable that's that way. I was talking to a friend of mine, another painter, Jeffrey Reed, and he would go to Ireland and then he would come back and describe all these like incredible weather events, and other friends would say, "Well, that sounds almost unbelievable. Like these paintings don't make sense." And I really like that. I feel like you're kind of finding the abstraction in these interesting spaces and situations like this. You're looking under the sink, and then it almost looks like crosses from a church or cathedral or something, casting light into this vase, and it becomes this sort of spiritual moment. Um, so I feel like it's like digging down more into what is this stuff. It starts to transfer and become something else, I think, at certain points. And maybe it was always that way, my mind, and I'm just letting that happen. So maybe it is abstract, but I think it feels very, very real to me. And some of these, you saw my hands. This is me. There's self-portraits in here now. Like this is looking into the bottom of this moldy sink, and that's me like reflected in it with my hat on and my jacket on. So I'm upside down. Like when you flip this painting around, it looks more like a conventional self-portrait, but
Hmm.
I'm so like sticking myself
You know,
into the paintings. Like, yeah, why not?
and a moldy
Self-portrait,
sink
like,
is not the most flattering place to put a portrait, I guess, but
yeah, yeah, definitely. But it's like it's such a beautiful thing. And as I said, like I feel like it happens in this way, that it's just like, why not? Like I like that idea of like, hey, why can't this be a painting? Like could I kind of pull this off? It is a lot of fun.
yeah, it's not your stereotypical self-portrait, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah, so this is once again, this is another Wawa bag where the bag is behind the glass, and then it's kind of reflecting light in it. So you're seeing the space through this red reflection, which I just thought was so beautiful. It almost looks like this sort of unfolding flower. And then we talked about this one at the opening. This is another self-portrait. Um, it's like just really trying to push the figures in there, but then really trying to like push that back in that space and have it be almost like a secondary element to the painting as you're looking at the surface. And that's sort of been an interesting um, part of the paintings, as we talked about, like how much can I get away with, like just dragging some paint across that foreground and having it be sort of like the putty and the caulking of the window, um, and then just leaving that alone.
And you also teach at the Community College of Philadelphia.
I do. I teach design, drawing, painting, and then I'm also currently the department head at the art department of the Community College of Philadelphia.
So working with like younger people, I mean, does this way of working, how do they respond to it? Like being in front of something, whereas their experience is very mediated um, with phone, etc.
Sure. Well, in our program, I feel like we're certainly very fortunate in that we teach a lot of observational drawing, and working from perception and painting, and even in the design classes, talking about like we're looking at in color theory, color relativity, putting things next to one another, and the sort of magic of how that all works. I think, when talking to students, it's about how to make things work when you're putting an image together, but it's also like how do you making that exciting for yourself? Like how do you make that interesting? And that sort of in that spirit, that kind of engagement of like looking and making things, there's a lot that we can do inside that space. And I hope they see these paintings as fun and engaging, and something about that kind of mystery of being alive and sort of seeing things for the first time.
So do you feel it helps you also as an artist to teach? Like, do you sort of
Oh,
respond to them
absolutely.
and question your notions of things?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I think certainly, being an artist is, um, having a sense of community, having other artists that you can talk to and talk about ideas and admire their work, and the way that they think and do things differently. And I think teaching and working with students is always incredibly exciting. I'm always inspired and admire their energy and their ideas. I think that, at times that keeps me going.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it can be a very solitary activity. So it's nice to have somebody to bounce off.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a great show. Thanks so much, Sean.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for doing such a great job and putting it up. And as we talked about, it's always such a fun experience at Cerulean Gallery coming in and just sort of seeing how you all respond to the work. And I always really appreciate all that you do.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, we enjoy the installation for sure. Well, thanks again and have a great night.
You too. Thanks.